Opening day, we heard from our incoming Senate President about the need for bipartisanship, and that he expressed that Washington was too gridlocked and that we were going to have more of a bipartisan approach here at the State House. And I'd like to say today that one constituency in Ohio that we all believe deserves our attention, deserves to become a priority, and deserves us to work in a bipartisan way to make sure we're meeting their needs as Ohio's veterans. And I'll be bringing forth legislation very soon that will assist Ohio veterans in helping them make a smooth transition into the workforce. The Veterans Opportunity Bill, which I'll be drafting, will assist veterans who we already recognize that they have many skills that they earned and learned while they were in service to our country. This is a very important constituency, one that has made many sacrifices to serve the people in Ohio and to serve our state and our nation. The bill, very broadly, would establish measures requiring all 2- and 4-year institutions to award academic credit for training and service completed by student veterans. It would encourage strongly our 2- and 4-year institutions to become more veteran-friendly and would link prospective employers with veterans who are looking for employment. This is an issue that has drawn the attention by the Governor's Executive Workforce Board, a board that I serve on. In fact, it's been stated in that committee by that board that legislation may be needed in the future to address easing our veterans back into the workplace. So my challenge is to the majority and to the executive branch to understand that this is a bipartisan issue, understand that this is a very important constituency in the state of Ohio, and to give this bill an opportunity that it deserves to move forward and assist our veterans with finding employment. Thank you. And I'll turn it over now to Senator Tom Sawyer from Akron.
Thank you, Sawyer and Gentile. I pulled a muscle in my rib cage about 10 days ago. And those things don't heal very quickly, and they're very painful. So I hope you'll forgive me. This is not the subject of my legislation, but I just want everybody to know that all this talk about working with the Senate President, I worked with the Senate President on the very late redistricting legislation that we considered in the Senate. And he was good to his word in terms of the work that we did together on that. There has been no more divisive legislation over the course of the last 10 or 20 years. I know, I feel like the poster child for redistricting in the state of Ohio. And he has been good to his word, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with him on that. But over an even longer period of time, one of the real enormously thorny issues that all of us as Ohioans have dealt with has been the question of school funding and the struggles that we've had with the DeRolf decisions from the beginning of the 90s, and in fact, all the way back to the late 70s when I was here for the first time. The difficulty that we've had in getting a fair distribution of dollars and generation of dollars balanced equally between, not equally, but fairly between the state of Ohio and our localities as we strive to achieve a reasonable mix of burden between local communities and the state of Ohio, and to recognize that education has become in recent years an overarching national concern, but one that remains a state responsibility and a local endeavor, and that blend is a very difficult one to make work together. I've had proposals since I've returned to the legislature that is a mix of constitutional and statutory efforts that would take a large step toward fixing our unconstitutional system of funding our public schools that virtually everyone recognizes relies far too heavily on property taxation. Getting that blend correct is difficult. Mine would gradually phase down the over-reliance on local property tax contribution, it would ultimately expect the localities to raise nothing beyond 20 mills, although they would have the opportunity at their own discretion to raise more than that if they found that that was what was necessary and beneficial to local communities in order to do more for their own school children. It would be accomplished by calling upon the General Assembly to determine the components of a thorough and efficient education, to enumerate those components, and then to cost out those components, and then to provide the necessary funding to fund that system of thorough and efficient education, and then to revisit that question on a periodic basis every 6 years in order to make sure that that education remained current. The proposal, as I say, would require a statutory initiative and a constitutional one. I don't pretend that this would be an easy undertaking, but it would achieve the required blend of state and local contribution to that. It is one whose components would require the collaboration of educators on the state and local level, and considerable effort across the aisle. I think that in order to be successful, this could not be a partisan effort. But the important thing to recognize is that while the administration and the governor moves forward with his proposals for funding, that this is compatible with a wide range of different kinds of funding proposals. This is not in itself a funding proposal, but is rather a distribution proposal that meets the fundamental goals that we've seen embodied in the DeRolf decisions over the last couple of decades.